Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Here's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to talk about how to calculate a percentage of increase or decrease. So let's get to it, shall we? So in this lesson, as we said, what we're going to do is we're first going to learn how to determine if something's increasing or decreasing. That part's pretty easy. And then we're going to learn how to calculate the percentage of change. Now, this is a super important concept because, well, people lie to us all the time with numbers and statistics. And if you don't have a good sense for how numbers work, and knowing if they're growing and by how much related to the original is a super important concept, then you can be easily manipulated, tricked, even lied to. So kind of a big deal, right? So first thing we're going to talk about is how to tell if the change is increasing or if it's decreasing. Well, this is a pretty simple idea. The only thing that's tricky is perhaps identifying what's the current and what's the original. So what you do is you take the current value and you subtract it from the original. And if that outcome is positive, then it's increasing because the current value will be worth more than the original. So it's going up. Whereas if the value is negative, then it's decreasing. That means the current value is less than the original. That means it's decreasing. You see? So let's see an example of that. So we got a concrete idea of what we're dealing with, right? So let's say you buy a brand new car. It's all fancy. It's $50,000, $52,000 worth of automobile. Man, fancy, fancy. And in a few years, it's a rusted bucket. Anyway, it depreciates. It goes down in value to $22,000. So if we want to see if it's increasing or decreasing, all you got to do is take the current value, which is $22,000, subtract that from the original value, and you're going to get negative $30,000. So this is a decreasing value. Do you see? All right, now let's talk about calculating a percentage of change. So let's suppose you bought this lovely home in 2010, right during the housing crisis, for $175,000. And in 2020, you turned around and you sold it for $29,000, right? Well, let's calculate the percentage of change. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use a formula. If you're one of my students, you know what PFG stands for. So here's how this works. We're going to take the current and we're going to subtract the original, and we're going to divide that by original and change it into a percentage by, of course, multiplying by 100. So the original was $175,000. The new is $290,000. So plugging that into our formula, it's 290 minus 175. Divided by 175,000, and of course times 100. Now, as we said, it's increasing because the current price is more than the original price. So that's an increase, right? So all you got to do is plug these numbers in, do the math, boom, you're done. Seems pretty easy, right? Well, what's the tricky part? Where are you going to get hung up? Here's where. The thing that you're going to get caught on is determining which is the original and which is the current. If you're disciplined and you make sure you write the formula out, then that's really the only tricky part, other than using the calculator, of course, right? So if you write your formula out and you're very careful to read and understand the situation, and you can determine which is the original and which is the current value, boom, you're done. Let's see one more example, shall we? Let's talk about the wonderful state of Arizona. In 2010, there were a little over 6 million people in this wonderful Grand Canyon state. 2019, that number was up to about 7.3 million people, right? So the question is, what is the percentage of increase from 2010 to 2019? So here's how we're going to do this. We first write our formula. So there's our formula, current minus original, divided by the original. And of course, you're going to change that into a percentage by multiplying by 100, right? So then you're going to identify what is current. Well, current is the 7,278,717 people, and the original is what the population was in 2010, 6,392,017 people. So now, after we've got that, we just plug our numbers in, current minus original divided by original, and of course times 100. Plug it into your calculator. Make sure you write it down first. Plug it into your calculator. You get 15.9%. Boom, done. So here's how you do this. First thing you got to do is you have to identify the original and the current values. You have to be very careful with that. If you get those mixed up, you're going to be totally wrong. Then you write the formula. Write the generic formula. And then you plug the values in on paper. You show your work, you write it out. And then the very last thing you do is you use your calculator. Because most likely, if you make a mistake with your calculator, but you did this second step correctly, you're going to get at least partial credit. You see? Hope this has been helpful. I hope this will demystify some of the math that you're learning right now. And you guys keep rocking on, and I hope you have a great day.